If you're listening to this right now, I want you to pay very close attention, because what I'm about to tell you is not something people usually share out loud. These are the silent eliminations that Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus practiced behind closed doors, the things they removed quietly, privately, without applause, without announcement, and without permission. And if you eliminate these things from your life too, your growth will become so undeniable that people won't even recognize you anymore, and you won't need to explain a single thing. So do me one favor, stay with me until the end, because every point builds on the next. And before we dive in, hit the subscribe button right now so you never miss another lesson that could completely shift your life. Now, breathe, sit upright, and listen in silence. Let's begin. Hidden weaknesses. There is a kind of weakness that doesn't show on the outside. You won't see it in someone's posture or their tone of voice, but you will feel it in their decisions. Hidden weaknesses are the quiet habits, fears, and impulses that slowly drain your strength from the inside. They are the untrained parts of your character, the places where you make excuses, where you avoid challenges, where you shrink instead of step forward. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must build your life action by action," meaning every small surrender to weakness shapes who you become. And the truth is, most people never confront these hidden flaws because it is far easier to pretend they don't exist. Hidden weaknesses show up in subtle ways: procrastination disguised as "I'm thinking," emotional impulses hidden behind "I'm just passionate," or fear disguised as "I'm being careful." But these are the very chains holding you down. Einstein once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." He understood that real transformation demands internal confrontation, not external excuses. If you don't expose your weaknesses to the light, they will run your life from the shadows. The Stoics believed that the strongest people were not the ones who boasted, competed, or tried to appear powerful. The strongest people were those who faced their private flaws without fear. They believed the battlefield of life was within. Seneca said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." When you quietly eliminate your hidden weaknesses, you take possession of your mind, your emotions, and your direction. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop pretending and start becoming. Ask yourself, where do you fold? Where do you avoid discomfort? Where do you choose easy over right? These are the places where weakness hides, and the more comfortable you are admitting them, the stronger you become. Epictetus taught that the beginning of wisdom is self-honesty, the ability to say, "This part of me needs work." No shame, no guilt, no fear, just awareness. This is how a person grows without announcement. Eliminating hidden weaknesses is not dramatic, it is not loud. It is a quiet execution of your lower self. It looks like waking up earlier when your mind says sleep. It looks like walking away from an argument you know will drag you down. It looks like saying no to distractions even when they feel good in the moment. It looks like discipline that nobody sees but everyone eventually respects because your results speak louder than your silence. The world will always try to convince you to stay the same. People get uncomfortable when you outgrow your past because it challenges their comfort zone. That's why you eliminate your weaknesses quietly. You don't announce your goals. You don't brag about your improvement. You don't warn people that you're changing. You simply change. You elevate, you evolve, and your transformation becomes impossible to ignore. Eliminating hidden weaknesses also requires humility. It's acknowledging that you don't know everything, that you don't always make the best decisions, and that growth is a lifelong journey. Einstein, despite being one of the greatest minds in history, said, "The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. Weakness clings to pride, strength clings to humility." When you accept that you're a work in progress, you open the door to massive improvement. Right now, think about one weakness you've been hiding from yourself. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's the inability to walk away from people who drain your peace. Identify it, name it, and then begin to eliminate it quietly, consistently, and with discipline. Don't tell anyone. Don't post it online. Don't seek advice from people who haven't mastered themselves. Just do the work. This is how Stoics sharpen their character. This is how warriors train their minds. This is how you build a life grounded in strength, not illusion. And before we move to the next lesson, let me remind you, subscribe to the channel so these powerful messages continue to shape you into someone unshakable. Silent jealousies. Silent jealousy is one of the most corrosive emotions a human being can carry. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explode. It simply sits quietly in the corner of your mind, whispering comparisons you never asked for. Most people would never admit it, but jealousy slips into their thoughts more often than they realize. Marcus Aurelius warned us when he said, The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are tinted with envy, your life will eventually take on the same shade. Silent jealousy isn't always obvious. It can hide behind casual scrolling on social media, where every image becomes a reminder of what you think you lack. It can hide behind a fake smile when someone else achieves what you've been praying for. It hides when you compliment someone but feel a sting inside your chest. Jealousy does not mean you are a bad person. It means you've forgotten your own path. Seneca said, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it lies in their power to not want what they don't have." Jealousy begins where gratitude ends. The Stoics teach that jealousy is a form of self-neglect. When someone else's success bothers you, it's because you've been ignoring your own potential. When someone's progress irritates you, it's because you've been delaying your own growth. When someone's happiness provokes discomfort, it's because there's a part of your life you haven't healed. Epictetus said, "When you see someone flourishing, examine what has allowed them to flourish." Jealousy can become inspiration if you let it transform instead of poison you. The truth is this: the people you envy are not better than you. They are simply ahead of you in a path you've delayed walking. Einstein once said that curiosity is the spark behind genius. So instead of resenting someone's success, be curious about it. What choices did they make? What discipline have they built? What sacrifices have they endured that you have avoided? Jealousy fades when responsibility rises. But jealousy also reveals truth about your desires. If someone's wealth provokes envy, it means you desire stability. If someone's confidence makes you uncomfortable, it means you desire self-respect. If someone's peace bothers you, it means you crave emotional freedom. Jealousy is not an enemy, it is a message. The Stoics believe deeply in using emotions as signals rather than punishments. To eliminate silent jealousy, you don't need to confront anyone. You need to confront yourself. You must replace comparison with focus. Replace resentment with discipline. Replace envy with personal commitment. Every moment you spend watching someone else is a moment stolen from your own evolution. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have been given the power to control your mind, not outside events." Jealousy belongs to the category of events outside your control. Redirect your mind. The more you grow, the less you will envy. The more you heal, the less you compare. The more you respect yourself, the less you resent others. Jealousy evaporates when you realize that your path is yours alone, and what belongs to you will never require envy to attain. Eliminate silent jealousies quietly. Let your growth silence every comparison. Next, secret attachments. Secret attachments are the invisible chains that keep you tied to versions of yourself you should have outgrown long ago. They are the emotional dependencies you hide from others because even you know they do not serve you. These attachments can be to people, comfort, identity, validation, or even old wounds. And Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Secret attachments are what make you forget that power. An attachment becomes dangerous when your happiness depends on something fragile. A person who must always respond, a routine you cannot break, a story about who you think you must be. These attachments feel like security, but they limit your evolution. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free. Freedom cannot exist where emotional dependence rules your decisions." The Stoics trained themselves to recognize attachments before they became prisons. Epictetus warned that if anything outside your control has the power to disturb you, then you are not free. That includes attachments to attention, comfort, approval, routines, relationships, and identities that no longer fit who you are becoming. Attachments create emotional hunger, and hunger weakens judgment. Einstein believed that true intelligence is the ability to adapt. Secret attachments make adaptation difficult because they convince you that without that person, habit, or emotional comfort, you will collapse. But the truth is this: your life expands the moment you detach from the things that shrink your potential. To eliminate attachments quietly, begin by observing your reactions. Notice the things you fear losing. Notice the things that make you anxious. Notice the people whose absence would make you crumble emotionally. Stoicism teaches that the things you fear losing are the things that control you. The path to freedom is removing the emotional power they hold. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean coldness. It means clarity. It means loving without clinging, giving without expecting, caring without depending. A Stoic detaches not because they lack emotion, but because they honor peace above possession. They choose strength over craving. Secret attachments will try to disguise themselves as loyalty, love, or comfort, but anything that compromises your growth is not loyalty, it is limitation. Anything that keeps you emotionally weak is not love, it is dependence. Anything that stops you from evolving is not comfort, it is captivity. Quietly detach. Quietly reclaim your power. Quietly let go of everything you used to think you needed. And watch how your strength multiplies when your peace no longer depends on external things. Eliminate secret attachments silently. Your freedom will thank you. Next, quiet self-sabotage. Self-sabotage rarely looks dramatic. It isn't chaos. It isn't meltdown. It is subtle. It is quiet. It hides in hesitation, in doubt, in overthinking, in telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. It hides in fear that feels like wisdom and procrastination that feels like planning. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action, but self-sabotage convinces you that action is impossible. Quiet self-sabotage shows up in the smallest choices. You promise yourself you'll wake early, then hit snooze. You plan a goal, then let fear talk you out of the first step. You know what you must do, then avoid it for reasons you don't even fully understand. Seneca said, while we wait for life, life passes. That is self-sabotage, the silent passing of potential. The Stoics believe that the enemy is not the world, but your own impulses. Epictetus taught that discipline is freedom. Self-sabotage thrives where discipline is absent. It thrives where emotions dominate decisions. It thrives wherever the mind refuses responsibility. Einstein warned that repeating the same behaviors while expecting new results is madness, yet most people live this way daily. To eliminate quiet self-sabotage, you must expose its disguises. Fear disguised as caution, doubt disguised as logic, inaction disguised as preparation, comfort disguised as self-care. Once you see the patterns, you can break them with small, consistent action. Not force, discipline, not speed, direction. Take one step each day your old self would avoid. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic. Quiet, consistent action destroys quiet sabotage. When you stop negotiating with your excuses, your life takes shape. And before we move forward, pause for 1 second. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next Stoic lesson that will sharpen your discipline and elevate your mind. Quietly eliminate self-sabotage. Quietly rebuild your strength. Quietly become unstoppable. Next, emotional leaks. Emotional leaks are the moments when your inner world spills out without your permission. They are the subtle signs that you are not fully in control of your emotions. Irritation that slips through your voice, insecurity that reveals itself in your tone, or anger that flashes in your eyes before you hide it. The Stoics believe that the strongest person is the one who governs themselves, not others. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Emotional leaks happen the moment the power slips away. These leaks reveal more about you than your words do. A person who speaks calmly, but has leaking resentment, is eventually exposed through behavior. Someone who pretends to be confident but leaks insecurity will show it in their reactions. Emotional leaks are not failures, they are signals. They show you the places where discipline is weak. Seneca said, no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity. Emotional leaks appear when you avoid inner adversity instead of confronting it. Your reactions are windows into your emotional discipline. When someone irritates you easily, that is a leak. When you over-explain yourself, that is a leak. When you need validation to feel sure, that is a leak. Einstein once said that weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. Emotional leaks are exactly that, attitude, slipping through because character is not yet solidified. The goal is not to suppress emotion. The Stoics never taught suppression. They taught command. They taught clarity. They taught slow, deliberate responses instead of fast, impulsive reactions. Emotional leaks fade when awareness rises. Pay attention. Watch your reactions. Observe your impulses as if you were watching someone else. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Emotional leaks are reminders of the parts of you that are not yet mastered. To eliminate emotional leaks quietly, begin with pause. The pause is powerful. The pause is where clarity is born. Before you react, breathe. Before you speak, think. Before you respond, observe. What emotion wants to leak? Why? What is the root? What wound is speaking through you? Stoicism teaches that the unexamined emotion becomes the controlling emotion. Strengthen your boundaries. Strengthen your self-talk. Strengthen your stillness. When you are calm inside, nothing leaks outward. When you are confident within, nothing spills out as insecurity. When you are centered, nothing triggers you. Most people leak because they are overwhelmed, but you eliminate leaks by quieting your inner world. Stay until the end of this entire lesson, because these layers build into a much stronger, unshakable you. Eliminate emotional leaks silently. Increase your inner command quietly. Become the person whose presence speaks louder than your reactions. Next, Invisible expectations. Invisible expectations are one of the greatest causes of disappointment and emotional exhaustion. These expectations are rarely spoken out loud. They exist quietly inside your mind, shaping how you think people should behave, how life should unfold, and how situations should go. Marcus Aurelius warned about this trap when he wrote, "Expectation is the root of all disappointment. The higher your invisible expectations, the more pain you create. The most destructive expectations are the ones you never express. You expect loyalty from people who have never shown consistency. You expect understanding from people who do not even understand themselves. You expect fairness from a world that is often unreasonable." Seneca said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Expectations distort your reactions because you judge reality against an ideal that only exists in your mind. The Stoics understood that expectations cause unnecessary suffering because they make you believe life owes you something. It doesn't. Life is neutral. People are unpredictable. Situations have no obligation to match your assumptions. Invisible expectations create silent resentment because you end up angry not at reality, but at your fantasy of how reality should be. Epictetus taught that the secret to freedom is wanting things to be exactly as they are, not as you imagine. Einstein believed that clarity is better than assumption. Invisible expectations prevent clarity. They make you passive-aggressive. They make you bitter. They make you feel unappreciated even when nobody promised you anything. If you expect someone to treat you a certain way without communicating it, you are setting yourself up for silent heartbreak. To eliminate invisible expectations quietly, begin with responsibility. Ask yourself, did this person actually promise me what I am expecting? If the answer is no, it is your expectation causing the pain, not their behavior. Adjust, not resent. Release, not cling. Clarify, not assume. Setting boundaries is also essential. Boundaries remove the need for silent expectations. When you speak clearly, you no longer expect others to read your mind. Stoicism teaches that suffering decreases when clarity increases. Say what you want. Say what you won't tolerate. Say what matters. Life becomes easier when assumptions disappear. Stay till the end of this journey, because all these pieces connect into your emotional mastery. Eliminate invisible expectations silently. Replace assumption with clarity. Replace fantasy with reality. Replace disappointment with discipline. Next, unspoken resentments. Unspoken resentments are emotional toxins that sit quietly inside your heart, poisoning your peace drop by drop. They are the hurt feelings you never express, the disappointments you pretend didn't matter, the betrayals you never fully addressed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." Resentment keeps you chained to the very actions you want to rise above. These resentments are dangerous because they hide behind silence. You tell yourself you've moved on, but the resentment sinks deeper. You say you're fine, but your energy becomes heavy. You keep smiling, but something inside you feels bruised. Seneca wrote, "Anger always outlasts hurt. When hurt remains unspoken, it quietly mutates into resentment, and resentment slowly corrodes your emotional stability." The Stoics believed deeply in the cleansing power of truth. Epictetus warned that emotional wounds grow when ignored. The more you suppress resentment, the more it shapes your behavior without your awareness. It can make you defensive, withdrawn, uninterested, or cold. It can make you push away people who didn't hurt you, simply because you never healed from the ones who did. Einstein once said, "You cannot solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it." Resentment keeps you stuck in the same emotional space where the injury occurred. Growth requires release, not explosive release, but conscious release. Stoicism teaches that release is an internal action, not an external confrontation. To eliminate unspoken resentments quietly, begin with acknowledgement. Admit that the pain exists. Admit that it bothers you. Admit that it hurt. This is not weakness. It is liberation. When you acknowledge truth internally, the resentment loses its grip. Then, shift your focus from the person to the lesson. What did the experience reveal about you, about your boundaries, about your values? This is how Stoics turn pain into power. Forgiveness is not for them. It is for your peace. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. It is detachment. Forgiveness is not pretending. It is release. You are not required to give anyone a second chance, but you are required to give yourself freedom. Stay till the end, because the final lessons will give you the full structure of emotional mastery. And before we continue, hit the subscribe button to keep receiving lessons that elevate your mind and strengthen your character. Eliminate unspoken resentments silently. Choose release over bitterness. Choose clarity over emotional noise. Choose inner peace over old wounds. Next, Quiet desperations. Quiet desperation is one of the most dangerous emotional states because it hides. It hides under routine. It hides under forced smiles. It hides under the mask of, I'm fine. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." Quiet desperation appears when you forget to look within, when you live outwardly strong but inwardly drained. People often live entire lives in a state of silent panic. They wake up every day with a knot in their chest, but they don't speak about it. They carry dreams they never pursue. They live with regrets they never admit. They suffer in silence because they fear judgment or because they believe endurance is the same as strength. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Quiet desperation is the result of wasted time, wasted energy, wasted courage. The Stoics believed that most suffering comes from avoidance, not from reality. Quiet desperation grows when you avoid truth, the truth about what you want, who you are, and what you fear. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you must do." Quiet desperation lingers when you do neither, when you don't say what you want and you don't act toward it. Einstein believed that staying in a situation that doesn't grow you is intellectual death. Quiet desperation is the emotional version of that death. It keeps you in jobs you hate, relationships that drain you, environments that suffocate you. You keep saying one day, but one day never comes. You survive rather than live. To eliminate quiet desperation, Stoicism teaches you to confront yourself honestly. What are you afraid to admit? What dream have you neglected? What truth have you avoided? What decision have you delayed? The truth you avoid becomes the prison you live in. You escape quiet desperation by facing reality, not running from it. Ask yourself, what would I do if fear didn't exist? What would I pursue if I stopped apologizing for my desires? What life would I live if I trusted my inner voice? These questions break desperation because they awaken your courage. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is short, unpredictable, and fragile. Quiet desperation disappears when urgency rises, when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start acting on the present one. Stay till the end, because each layer of this journey builds toward a final transformation you need to hear. Eliminate quiet desperation silently. Choose courage over fear. Choose movement over stagnation. Choose life over survival. Next, shadow comfort zones. Shadow comfort zones are the subtle spaces you stay in because they feel familiar, even though they limit your potential. They are not obviously harmful. In fact, they often feel safe, but they keep you from becoming who you could be. Marcus Aurelius said, "The obstacle is the way, yet shadow comfort zones make you walk around obstacles instead of through them." These comfort zones are hard to detect because they disguise themselves as logic. You tell yourself that the timing isn't right, that you need more preparation, that you'll start next week. But deep down, it's fear wearing the mask of strategy. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. You make things harder by avoiding them." The Stoics trained their minds through voluntary discomfort, fasting, cold exposure, silence, solitude, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood that ease weakens the spirit. Comfort zones create illusions of progress. You feel busy but stagnant. You feel active but unfulfilled. You feel stable but stuck. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Growth requires risk, discomfort, and moments where you stand alone. Einstein believed that creativity and progress requires stepping into the unknown. Shadow comfort zones block creativity because they trap you in what is predictable. They keep you surrounded by familiar people, familiar routines, familiar choices, even when none of them match who you are becoming. To eliminate shadow comfort zones, you must confront your patterns. Where do you retreat when life challenges you? What habits do you cling to when you're afraid? What excuses do you repeat? The answers will reveal the zones you must break. The Stoics practiced stretching their identity through small acts of bravery. Start small. Wake up earlier. Remove distractions. Say no to comfort-based decisions. Do the work you normally avoid. Speak up when you usually stay quiet. Push yourself where your old self resisted. Move toward fear, not away from it. Move toward growth, not familiarity. Move toward the unknown, not repetition. Stay till the end because the final lessons will solidify everything you've learned. Eliminate shadow comfort zones silently. Your potential lies outside the walls you built for safety. Next, approval hunger. Approval hunger is one of the most subtle forms of self-betrayal. It is the quiet craving for validation, acceptance, or praise, even when you pretend you don't care. Marcus Aurelius said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own Approval hunger makes you live through other people's eyes instead of your own purpose. This hunger doesn't shout, it whispers. You check for reactions, you adjust your behavior to avoid displeasing someone, you silence yourself to avoid judgment. You pretend to be smaller so others feel comfortable. Seneca wrote, "A great man is one who is unaffected by public opinion. The moment approval becomes a need, you stop being yourself." The Stoics believed that the only approval that matters is your own. Epictetus taught that the opinion of others is an external, and externals must never control the inner self. Einstein lived this truth boldly. He was criticized, dismissed, misunderstood, yet he pursued truth rather than applause. Approval hunger would have killed his genius. To eliminate approval hunger quietly, begin with identity. Who are you without praise? Who are you without applause? Who are you without validation? If those questions scare you, then you've relied too much on external acceptance. Approval hunger dies when authenticity rises. Stop explaining yourself. Stop apologizing for your truth. Stop dimming your light. Stop shrinking your personality. Your life is not a democracy. It is a journey. You are not here to live by committee. You are here to fulfill your purpose. Stay till the end because the final message will tie all this together. And before the last part, hit the subscribe button if you're ready to break free from opinions, comparisons, and approval. Your evolution starts with your independence. Eliminate approval hunger silently. Walk with confidence that doesn't ask permission. Grow in a way that doesn't need applause. Finally, if you're still here, listening to these final words, then you are not like most people. Most people rush through life without ever stopping to reflect, to grow, or to transform themselves from the inside out. But you stayed. You made it to the end. And that alone proves something important. You are building a different kind of life. A life of depth, a life of discipline, a life of inner mastery. The Stoics taught that real strength is formed in silence through quiet corrections and private transformations, and that is exactly what you've begun here. Marcus Aurelius built himself piece by piece in the privacy of his journals. Seneca shaped his mind in the solitude of his reflections. Epictetus trained his character away from crowds. Einstein transformed his world through thought before action. In the same way, every silent shift you make, eliminating jealousy, attachments, desperation, resentment, and the need for approval, becomes a brick in your inner fortress. The world may not see your work now, but soon they will see the results. Quiet improvement always creates loud breakthroughs. Carry these lessons with you as you move forward. Guard your peace like a treasure. Protect your discipline like a weapon. Make decisions based on wisdom, not emotion. Choose growth over comfort. Choose clarity over noise. Choose yourself over the expectations of others. These are not just ideas, they are tools. Tools that will build a life you're proud of, a mind you trust, and a spirit that cannot be shaken. And now I want to ask you for one simple but important favor. Subscribe to my channel, The Inner Fortress. Not for me, but for you. Because every new video is designed to make you stronger, wiser, calmer, and more unshakable in a world full of noise. If you're committed to building a powerful inner life, then the Inner Fortress is your home. So hit that subscribe button right now. Join the inner circle and keep becoming the strongest version of yourself. Thank you for starting until the end. Your evolution has just begun.